What's up guys, welcome back to Deck Tech for Decks, and today we're doing something a little different. I wanted to ask myself and challenge myself if I could build a better Precon, right? It's easy to make budget decks, but is it easy to make a budget deck of a new commander? So today we are looking at Otharri Sun's Glory, and I'm going to attempt to make a better Precon than what they gave to us. So with that out of the way, let's get into the deck tech. Otharri Sun's Glory is a very cool commander, right? Because it gets rid of the commander tax. After we cast it for the first time, we're only going to be paying 4 mana for this guy. And honestly, he's his own engine, right? He creates a lot of tokens, and then all we have to do is make sure our commander can attack. So we're going to suit him up with a bunch of equipment, and then we're going to make sure we can get value off of tokens, which is going to be pretty simple also. So we're going to generate value off the tokens, we're going to make our commander massive, and this deck's going to draw us a lot of cards doing that. Alright guys, let's get into this equipment. Skull Clamp, pretty simple. We're going to suit this up to our little rebels, sacrifice them, or they'll die in battle, and then we're going to draw some cards off of it. Mask of Memory is going to let us draw some cards as well as Glimmer Lens, right? This one, as long as we're attacking with 2 creatures, we're good to go. Rogue's Glove, another really good equipment. Notably, we do have cards in the deck that care about our creatures being equipped, so a lot of these equipments are just going to be cheap, low to the ground, easy to equip, right? Staff of Titania. Not only will this incorporate to our token strategy, we also get some tokens that tap for mana, which is going to be really useful. Explorer's Scope. I like this card because it keeps all of those lands off of the top of our library. That way we can constantly draw gas. Hexplate Wallbreaker. This is a really cool equipment that gives you an extra combat. That means more experience counters and more rebels. Kimba's Banner. This is going to make our commander extremely hard to block because, let's be honest, it's going to make him massive. Mace of the Valiant. This one's even more broken because we're going to create a lot of rebels and then we're going to get those charge counters, right? Well, next turn we'll create even more rebels, and this equipment can get out of hand really quickly. Blackblade Reforged. This one's going to buff our commander up equal to the number of lands we have. We're going to have a lot of lands in plays because it is a commander game, so this is going to buff them up quite a bit. Swiftfoot Boots, just a little protection. Lizard Blades, I really like the double strike because it's going to double up on all of those on combat damage triggers, right? A lot of our equipment draw a card whenever it deals damage. Well, if we have double strike, we deal 2 instances of damage and draw 2 cards. Hero's Blade. This is just going to equip itself to our commander. If it dies, we cast it, and then it instantly gets Hero Blades equipped to it, so that's pretty useful. Bloodforged Battle Axe. I really like this one as well because it just creates a lot of them over the course of the game. So you can even use it to buff up your rebels, you can use it to buff up your commander. We're going to end up with a lot of these tokens, so it's going to be pretty useful. Sunforger. This gives us access to all of the single target removal in our deck. If we have this card, we can get rid of any key pieces our opponents have. Horn of Valhalla. I really love this card because you can cast it for its sorcery adventure, create a lot of tokens, and then equip it to your commander to make it massive. It's a card that does both of the things that you need for it to be good, right? Fire Shrieker. There's some more of that double strike. Bladehold War Whip. This one's really good because it's going to lower the equip cost of our other equipment, and whenever we do equip this to our commander, we're going to get double strike. That does it for all of our equipment. Let's move on to our equipment synergies. We have Odric Lunarch Marshal. This is going to make it to where whenever we give our commander a keyword, all of our rebels are going to get the keyword. But remember, without even equipping anything to our commander, they're already going to get Flying, Lifelink, and Haste because that's what our commander has, right? So even with no equipment, this card's broken in the deck. Gold Warden's Gambit. This one's really good because it has affinity for equipment, so it's going to cost less for the amount of equipment we have, and then we create 5 red rebel creature tokens. They gain haste until end of turn. For each of those tokens, you may attach an equipment you control to it. So not only are we going to get a bunch of rebels, but we're going to be able to buff them up with our equipment too. Aster, Bearer of Blades. This guy's insane in the deck. He's going to dig 7 cards deep. We're going to grab our best equipment out of those 7 cards, and then he's going to make it to where all the equipment you have has equip 1. Open the Armory is just a really good equipment tutor. Armored Sky Hunter. This one does it on attack, so every attack we get to dig 6 cards deep for an equipment card, and then we'll get to equip that card once we put it onto the battlefield. So not only does this guy get around the equipment cost, but he also gets around the equip cost of the equipment. Pretty insane in the deck. Jorkadeen. This guy might as well say whenever he attacks, draw a card, because it's not going to be hard to get his power above 4 because he's going to be buffing himself for each equipped creature. Akiri, Fearless Voyager. This one not only can give your creatures indestructible, but you're going to draw cards equal to the number of equipped creatures attacking players. So we can essentially draw 3 cards with this girl, along with getting indestructible. Saram, this guy's pretty simple. Whenever you play an equipment spell, go ahead and draw a card. Oscar, the Reconstructor. Not only can we buff our commander up with this guy to maybe take someone out, but whenever we lose our equipment, this guy's just gonna double it. So if it was a problem before, it's double the problem now. He's really strong late game, and he even works on our mana rocks and other things we have in the deck. Let's look at some of the supporting cards of the deck. We have Adriana, Captain of the Guard. This is gonna give all of our rebels melee. So it can essentially give every creature +3/+3 as long as we attack all 3 opponents. Which this is a very aggro deck. I mean, it is Boros, that's not surprising, but honestly, this one takes aggro to the max. Griffin Airy, this one's just a free 2/2 at the beginning of each end step. It's going to be really useful when we're just attacking every turn to have some blockers up, so that's why this is in the deck. Seems like a no-brainer because our commander's a 3/3 with lifelink, so that prerequisite is not going to be hard to hit. Zerium, Golden Wind, another Griffin. This guy's pretty insane, and I think people sleep on him a little bit. Whenever he deals combat damage, you get a Griffin, right? Because he's a Griffin. And then whenever those 2 attack next turn, you're going to end up with 4 Griffins, and then 8 Griffins. He can just make a ton of Griffins out of nowhere. Felidar Retreat. This card does whatever we want to do at the point we're at. If we have a huge board, we can get the 1/1 counters. If we need a huge board, we can get those 2/2 cats. It's just a really flexible card in the deck. Sun Titan, another really flexible card. A lot of our equipment are 3 mana cost, and a lot of our creatures are low to the ground, so he can reanimate a huge percentage of this deck. Bastion Protector, just giving our commander indestructible and +2/+2. Who doesn't like that? Moving on to card draw, we have Neali, Sun's Vanguard. Not only are all of your tokens going to get double strike, but you're going to get some of that impulse card draw that doesn't go away because we're going to keep attacking with those tokens. Rumor Gatherer. I really like this one because when you create all of those rebels, you're going to scry a lot and draw a card off of it. Mentor of the Meek. As long as we have something like an Ashnod's Altar onto the battlefield, we can sacrifice those rebels to draw cards, and you know, if we have some extra mana, we can do that anyway. Elaine Busybody. This card's really good in the deck because when we create X amount of rebels, we're going to get to dig that many cards deep and then pick the best card out of that and put it into our hand. Insane card selection, insane card draw. Well of Lost Streams. Our commander has lifelink, so why not draw some cards off of that lifelink? Faithless Looting. This is my favorite card to have in my opening hand. It never disappoints. Commander Lyra Portier. This one's really good. Not only is it going to give us some card or impulse card draw because it's going to exile the top 3 cards of our library, those cards are going to be 3 mana cheaper to cost because you know we're attacking all 3 of our opponents. Idol of Oblivion, a really good early drop. All it says is whenever you create a token, you can tap it to draw a card. I mean, if we do get 8 mana, we can create a giant Eldrazi, but honestly, the card draw's why it's in here. Sophina Spear Sage Deserter. This doesn't really combo well with our tokens, but we are going to be attacking with a lot of creatures, and every time we do that, we're going to get to investigate. And then we can pay 2 mana to draw a card. Pretty useful. Moving on to card draw, we have Fire Diamond. I really like the Diamond cycle because honestly, they're not that much worse than Signets. The goal with a Signet is to ramp turn 2, and these ramp you turn 2. Additionally, if you ramp turn 2 with a Signet, you can't tap it for mana. So I get that they're better late game, but early game for what you need them for, Diamonds are perfect. We are then running the Signets. Arcane Signet, Boros Signet, super budget, really good at what they do. Knight of the White Orchard. We are a Boros deck, so I can't imagine this doesn't net us a land. Mind Stone, pretty good to sack it later to draw a card, and remember, if we do have Oscar, we can even draw more cards with this. Soul Ring, it's a Soul Ring, it's a commander deck. Ashnod's Altar, this is going to be really good. We're going to be creating a lot of rebels, so to sacrifice those for some mana is going to be really good, especially when this adds colorless mana, and most of our deck is colorless spells, right? Wayfarer's Bauble, really efficient ramp. Fellower Stone, just really efficient, and Forging the Tyrant Sword. I really like this card because it's going to net you 2 treasures and you'll get to search for an equipment after it hits that 3rd line. Let's get into that removal. We have Generous Gift, just really efficient permanent removal. Chaos Warp, a little less bad because you're not giving them a 3/3, you're giving them something off the top of their library, but still really useful removal. Return to Dust, just go ahead and exile those enchantments or artifacts. Exile is becoming an increasingly important keyword because everybody's running recursion nowadays. Disenchant, destroy target artifact or enchantment. Austere Command, just a really good board wipe that's going to make sure whatever the problem is, we get rid of it. Chain Reaction, with all the tokens we're going to be generating, I can't imagine this doesn't just wipe the board. Swords to Plowshares, just a really efficient removal spell. Goblin Bombardment, it's going to be really good to sacrifice our tokens to deal damage to our opponents and their creatures. Lastly, we have Martial Coup. It's going to be really good to start over the board and have something left, right? Whether we use that to equip our equipment onto or to generate some value by sacking them, it's just going to be really efficient to have those 5 tokens. Alright guys, that's the deck. Let me know in the comment section if I succeeded. If you think this is a better Precon deck, or if you think, I got some work to do. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.